Oh my goodness, I get this question so many times. Kristen, what do I do in this pattern to go from this loom to that loom or this yarn to that yarn? I'm going to help you with that today. The following video is actually a small part of a longer video on how to convert something from needles. So if you have a needle pattern and you're changing it to the knitting loom, however, the second part of the video you can actually use to change from one loom pattern to another loom. So if you don't have the right loom that's mentioned in the pattern, or you don't have the right yarn, whatever's listed, you can make that change. And I go over all of that with you. And there is math involved, but don't panic because I have some interactive calculators and I show you how to do it. Plus, we work with multiples. Have you ever seen something like 12 plus 1 or 2 plus 3 multiple? What does that even mean, Kristen? And how do I figure that out when I start making changes? Well, I go over that in the video. Also, there is a completely converted lacy Afghan pattern that I also give you availability to that is converted from a needle pattern. So that's a little bonus. And down in the link in the description below, you'll be able to find all that mentioned, plus the longer video if you want to. Now, if you needle knit as well, or you have a friend who needle knits, they could even use this to learn how to convert from one needle to the next or one yarn to the next, and you just make the different tests. And I talk about that in the video. So go ahead and sit back and watch and pull up a cup of Joe or a cup of tea and enjoy yourself. Have fun. Welcome to GoodKnit Kisses. We're all about helping you stitch your love and love your stitches. I want you to see how you can make a change. So Kristen, what do I do if I want to find out what loom to use? Okay, the first thing is I look at the size of the knitting needles, and I have a chart that's going to help you. So I'm going to grab my chart. I've got a version of this on our website. This is from a workbook that I have to help you organize, but this is the version of this chart is on our site. I'm going to go down to the needle size area, and I'm going to look until I see the size 11 needle. I see it fit in this category here that says 10 to 13 on the US size, or 6 to 9 millimeter. Well, I have an 11 and it's 8 millimeter. Okay, that's really good. I'm actually going to go across now. I'm going to see what yarn weight it recommends. Let's look at that. Oh, it recommends a 5 to 6 weight yarn. Well, we're using a 6. And let's go all the way over. And it says average stitches per inch. That's 2 to 3 stitches per inch. Well, it says that there's 8 stitches and 4 inches on this one, which is 2 stitches per inch. So we're good. So let's find out what loom we can use. Let's run our finger all the way back over. This calls for a large gauge loom, which is 5/8 or 11/16. So that's going to be the closest loom that we have. Then we want to look at what looms that we have that are 5/8. If we don't have any, we want to get one, and we can find out if we want to make this pattern without any changes. Then we would make it like if we want to use a number 6 yarn. So if we want to use this yarn here, a super bulky 6 weight yarn, then we would find a knitting loom that would accommodate that. Okay, so this is right here is a 5/8 gauge loom. If you don't know what gauge is, you'll go visit our website and you can see the gauge charts, and we'll give you that link so you can see more about that. But that's the spacing from center peg to center peg. Okay, we're expressing it in fractions and inches. So 5/8 is 5/8 of an inch to center peg to center peg. I actually kind of line up one side of this groove to the same side on the next groove of the next peg, and that helps me when I put my measuring tape up against that. So this one right here, though, it only has 48 stitches. It certainly doesn't have the 96 stitches that are called out in the pattern, right? So I'm going to need to find a loom that's going to accommodate that, all right? So let's say I find that, or I want to test it first before I buy it. Maybe I have this one in my stash, and I want to see what does it look like. Well, I can knit up a sample, all right? It's a really good idea to grab the yarn, or at least the size of the yarn that it calls for in the pattern, and work it on a loom that you have. That's a great way to begin. What I did is I worked up 5 stitches across on both sides. So I have 10 stitches, so 5 and 5, plus 1 full stitch pattern in the middle. Okay, so that is going to be the 13 stitches over here. Okay, remember when we talked about the lace pattern having a multiple of 12 stitches plus 1? So I've got 12 plus 1 plus the 5 of the border and then the other 5 of the borders. So I cast on and I start kind of working through this entire pattern. And then I got this, and then I made another stitch repeat. And then this middle section right here is what I can measure across, this little part that has all that stockinette. It was actually the easiest for me to measure. And when I measured across, I actually got 2.75 stitches per inch. That was just out of the range for the loom gauge that I had. Remember I said 2 to 3 stitches per inch? I would need to make my peg spacing bigger to match, and I just don't have the XLG loom with enough pegs to match. Or I could use a thinner yarn to fix it. Okay, see how tight these stitches are? See how you can't really see through it as much as you could with the loom, with the needle version? The needle version, I could see through it more. I had this really lacy look, and this one just doesn't do it for me. I didn't like it as much. So I decided that I wanted to test it on another yarn. So this one looks really lacy. I really like this one. This one is a number 4, okay? So I just did the same thing. I made me a sample that had the same amount of stitches and worked it up. Now I made sure to take it off of the loom because of course it was really spread out. I took it off the loom and tested it, and I even measured across to see how many stitches I got. Well, mine is just shy of 4 stitches. Okay, it's just shy of 4 stitches per inch on mine. So once I have that information, I can actually use a calculator to help me figure out what I need. Now, if you don't know how to do the calculations, we've actually made it easier for you. We actually have a free interactive calculator on our website. And when you scroll down, you can actually go to the cast on calculator, and it helps determine the number of stitches that you need to cast on. You put in your width in inches that you measured across. So if you measured across 1 inch or 2 inches, you would put that number. And then, of course, you count your stitches, and then you put in how many stitches you got. I actually measured across in 2 inches because I thought that was easier to measure. So I had 2 inches across that I measured, and I got a number of stitches. I actually got 7.5. So I got 7.5 stitches. And then the project width, I needed 46. Okay, so 46 inches across is what I needed. So it says that my number of stitches to cast on is 172.5. So I can do a couple of things with that. I can say, do I want to go back to the other yarn, or do I want to get a loom that's going to accommodate this? Okay, so if I want to do a loom that accommodates this, then what I need to do is make a change and figure out how many stitches I need to get this to work with all these multiples that they mention in here. I know that I need an odd number of stitches because it said so in the seed stitch here, and I know that my cast on was 95 stitches over here. The main thing I need to know is that I've got 5 stitches on either side for the border, so that's 10, and then I need all these stitches in the middle here for the lace pattern, and I need 12 plus 1. So I can take my 172 and a calculator. Let's go in here and find my calculator. Let's do it really big for you. So I can take my 172, and I'm going to take out 10 stitches for that border. Okay, that's 162. Now I want to take out my plus 1, minus 1. I have 161 stitches that I need to see about this multiple of 12. So I'm going to divide 161 by 12, and I get 13.4167 blah, blah, blah. So I can actually get 13 pattern repeats on here. Okay, so I'm just going to clear that out, and we're going to say 13 times 12. So it's 13 repeats times the 12 stitches in the repeat equals 156. We're going to add our plus 1. Okay, that's 157 plus our 5 stitches for each border, so that's 5 plus 5 is 167. So I know in order to make it on this yarn here, I need to cast on 167 stitches onto my pegs. So now I need a loom that's 5/8, and it will accommodate this many stitches. So that's how I did this pattern. So on my Loom knit version, you can see that I've got 167 stitches to cast on. Now I'm using the chain cast on. You can use the long tail as well, but I want to point out that it is going in one direction on the cast on so that you can begin your stitches how they are on the chart. I've got the chart here in my own version, but you can see how on the needle chart, how it starts your peg 1 from right to left. So you need to put your slip knot on the left and work to the right in order to get your peg 1 set up for success and follow that chart much easier. And then you're not having to remember which way you've got to go, flip back and forth. So we've got the rows that we need for the stitch pattern. So what about how many rows that we need to get the length that we want? Well, we've got written in here that we are continuing the lace pattern for 8 repeats, rows 1 through 20 to get that stitch repeat. So you're going to need more than that to do the smaller, thinner yarn. You're going to need more repeats than 8. In order to figure that out, let's flip over to the other side here. We know that our rows are 1 through 20 in the lace pattern, right? So we go to our gauge here and we see that there's 13 rows in 4 inches in this one, but on our swatch that we make, let's just use my pattern for an example. On my swatch that I made in that smaller yarn and measured, it's 10 rows in 2 inches. Okay, well that's 5 rows in 1 inch. So we're just going to take 20 rows divided by 5. Okay, so we have 20 rows in our pattern. So we're going to say divided by 5, which is 4. So there's 4 inches to make up one lace pattern. All right. So the length that we want in our pattern is 54 inches. When we go over to the needle pattern, you see that we want 54 inches. So we take 54 divided by 4. That gives us 13.5. That tells me that I want 13 repeats long of the stitch pattern. Okay, so if I just take an even 13, I know it's an odd number, but a rounded number to 13 times 4 inches, that's 52 inches. Well, we also have the beginning and the end rows here. I'm just going to kind of fast forward to how many stitches we have in the rows, and I've already estimated that I'm going to do in my pattern. I actually have a setup of 7 rows of seed stitch and 1 row of the setup row before you get into the lace pattern, and then I have 6 of the seed border. I have rows 1 and 2, and then I repeat that twice more. So that's actually 6 rows plus the 8 rows. So that's 14 rows. Okay, and that's just determined from the sample that I had done before. And so we're going to say we have 14 rows, and our stitch guide, our gauge is telling us that there's 5 stitches per inch. So we're going to say divided by 5. So that's 2.8 inches. Okay, so I add the 2.8 inches to my 52 that we got before with all those lace repeats equals 54.8. So my blanket is going to be about 55 and a half or 54 and a half or 55 inches. So that is what is determined there. And then I've already determined yarn and all that based upon some other things. And if you want more information, you can go on the interactive calculator video and know how much yarn to determine. So we're not going to go over that in the video. But that is how I got this pattern converted, and you can do that too with other needle patterns. Well, how was that? Has that helped you today? If you have more questions, please ask in the comments below and help each other too. You know, if I don't get to your question, it's not because I don't love you. It's because I might just be having a ton of questions, or maybe I don't know that answer just quite yet. I won't be converting any patterns for anybody because I really want you to learn how to do that. So be sure and check out the video, the complete one on learning how to convert. And as always, click on our newsletter subscription on our website so you can be notified whenever you get a new video come out, or you can hit the subscribe button on YouTube and hit the little bell icon. If you want to get the patterns every time they come out, we do have a VIP program, so I'd love for you to join me as a VIP. You get them every month as long as you're a current member, and we also do some giveaways 4 times a year and have a live call every month, and you get a special little badge if you're on there. So thanks for joining me again at GoodKnit Kisses. Bye everyone. Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.